Tonight, why the U.S. won't be leaving Afghanistan.
That target is approved.
What happens when corporations get a tax cut. And
this is world-class darkness.
A judge cleared the way for an undocumented 17-year-old fighting the Trump administration to get an abortion as soon as possible. Yesterday, Judge Tanya Chutkan said 2 pregnant immigrants in government custody could go ahead with the procedure, but she gave the administration 24 hours to appeal. The administration chose only to ask the Court of Appeals to hold off the abortion for one of them, 19-year-old Jane Roe, who was 10 weeks into her pregnancy and being transferred into DHS custody. Today, Judge Chutkan lifted her stay in the case of Jane Poe, who's in her second trimester and running out of time to get the procedure. Congress's Office of Compliance has shared more data about harassment claims in the House of Representatives. From fiscal years 2008 to 2012, the office used more than $342,000 in taxpayer money to settle sexual harassment, discrimination, and retaliation allegations against representatives' offices. Of the 15 settlements, 3 were specifically related to sexual harassment and totaled $115,000. On Monday, the Office of Compliance rejected Senator Tim Kaine's request to make data public on sexual harassment claims in the Senate, citing confidentiality concerns. Today, Alabama Senator-elect Doug Jones called on his soon-to-be colleagues in the Senate to renew funding for the Children's Health Insurance Program, or CHIP. The program provides coverage for 8.9 million children whose families don't qualify for Medicaid but can't afford private health insurance. Congress failed to reauthorize funding for the program in September, and yesterday, Alabama's Department of Public Health said it will stop enrolling children in CHIP on January 1st, and that they'll lose coverage on February 1st. Jones said it was, quote, unacceptable for partisan fighting to delay renewed funding. President Trump's Homeland Security advisor said the United States would hold North Korea accountable for the WannaCry cyber attack that spread through more than 150 countries earlier this year.
We do not make this allegation lightly. We do so with evidence, and we do so with partners.
North Korea has previously denied being linked to the virus. The attack held encrypted data for ransom and affected businesses and organizations, including Britain's National Health Service. Saudi Arabia says it intercepted a missile today fired by Houthis in Yemen. It's the second time the rebel group, which has backing from Iran, has targeted Riyadh since fighting escalated last month. A Houthi spokesman said the missile was aimed at a royal palace in Riyadh and that it marked a new chapter in its conflict with Saudi Arabia, which is playing out against the backdrop of Yemen's civil war. Separately, the UN said that this month alone, airstrikes by the Saudi-led coalition have killed at least 136 civilians and non-combatants in Yemen.
ट्रम्प ته موږ دا ویل غواړو چې د امریکایانو ژوند که د هر څونه پوځیان افغانستان ته راولېږي او یا خپل استراتیژي نه بدلوي یا خپلې پالیسۍ نه بدلوي دا به اخر د دې لپاره د ناکامۍ سبب ګرځي انشاءالله د هغې سرنوشت به هم داسې وي لکه څومره د مخکني امریکایانو سرنوشت په افغانستان کې و او تېر شو.
In an interview with Vice News, Taliban fighters said without hesitation that they're winning the war against the US. And they have a point. 16 years and 3 administrations after the US first invaded Afghanistan. The war is now the longest in American history, and the Taliban now control or contest more territory than at any point since the US first pushed them back. In August, President Trump launched his strategy.
We are not nation building again. We are killing terrorists.
He's ordered a sharp increase in airstrikes, and he's sending up to 4,000 more American troops to train and advise Afghan forces to try to beat back the Taliban resurgence.
Hey, it's Exile. Hey, are you in the room right now? Do you see when you just passed back into the west, you passed 2 guys who were carrying bigger objects? So kind of want to go back to those guys and check them out.
This is as close to direct combat as most US troops get in Afghanistan. Brian Hubert is an airstrike battle captain. He and about a dozen other Marine officers spend day and night scanning drone feeds from around the region on the hunt for Taliban. What are you looking for?
I'm looking to know whether or not they have hostile intent towards the NSAF. If they do, which it looks like these guys do, it's enough for us to start getting things in motion for airstrike for them.
We were granted rare access to the Marines' war room in Helmand Province, where they tracked a man they suspected of carrying a rocket-propelled grenade launcher and radio called an ICOM, less than half a mile from Afghan troops.
Yep, copy all. So one pack has a ICOM, the other one has an RPG. You guys are ready for preemptive game plan 9-line.
With F-16 fighter jets inbound, the top Marine commander, General Roger Turner, is called in to get a read on the situation and approve the target.
So he's under the trees, right?
Yes, sir. So you got two of those guys. I see one with a launcher.
This guy's on the screen right now. What was he? He was a biz ops guy?
He had the RPG on him.
Okay.
He already identified 5 guys, 2 weapons, ICOM, shovel. And then these guys right here, you see underneath the crosshairs, broke off, went to the southeast of them. And then they're basically flanking them to the east. Besides that, it's just the overwhelming imminent that they're preparing an attack right now. From where they are. They're 800 meters away. See back in? So he'll give us a good opportunity in a second to see it again, but for right now, it's...
Yeah.
The guy right there, is that the weapon?
Yeah, it's a weapon right there. Yeah, it's on the shoulder of the RPGs. You can see the shadow.
Able to scoot over. There's another guy over there.
What's around there, guys? Anything?
That's where they picked up the RPG.
Trail's RPG guy.
Okay, set him up for immediate reattack.
He's going into the... Oh, he's just standing on that little thing. Yeah, they're using them. Yeah. He's inside.
Have him zoom out one more.
All right, he's on the road.
See collateral coming.
I'm good. That target is approved. Primary target's getting ready to exit. All right, guys, call out any collateral concerns, please.
So the generals just approved the target. They've seen a weapon on the man's shoulder and they've surmised that he's now far enough away from the building to actually carry out the strike.
Viper XL6 status.
Rifle. Missed him.
It's possible he's injured. I don't know.
He's hurt pretty bad.
Yeah. I don't think he's good enough.
I think adrenaline had him move, but I think his right leg's missing.
While the suspected Taliban fighter appeared to be bleeding out, the other suspected fighters ran for cover inside a nearby building. How often are you carrying out that kind of a strike? Is that pretty rare? Is it?
It's not rare at all. It's pretty often. And what we're doing... Yeah, every day.
Under Trump, American troops are still restricted from ground combat, but he did give more leeway for commanders to carry out airstrikes like these. In the first 10 months of the year, the number of bombs and other munitions that have been dropped on Taliban targets has already tripled since last year to more than 3,000. They're dispatched from hundreds of miles away, where up to 4,000 troops will also be arriving to train and advise Afghan forces. This group is some of the first to land.
We were just told formally 4 weeks ago that we were going to be a part of this new strategy. And so we were told, hey, pack your bags, you guys are going.
For many, including First Lieutenant Tyler Wojcinski, this is their first combat deployment.
I was in 3rd grade when the towers fell. So I've now inherited part of this, which is amazing to see because you only see about it in the news and now you're actually a part of it. You're a part of a new administration and a new way of trying to solve this complex issue.
But for those who've served in Afghanistan before, there's a more sobering reality to this conflict. Colonel Matthew Reed is the Deputy Commander of Joint Task Force Southwest. Reed's first tour here ended in 2011, but he was redeployed in April to take back some of the same areas he helped capture years ago.
Where we are is largely validated. So that district center, you kind of see it just next to the canal, that square building. Right there, that's where they did that PBIT that they had on YouTube.
has 14 districts. 9 of them are now controlled or contested by insurgents.
How did it feel coming back and seeing areas that you fought for now that are back under Taliban and people? It's surreal coming back, but I do believe in the mission.
Back in 2011, the number of Marines across this province was escalating towards 20,000. Today, there are just 300.
I don't think I'm speaking out of turn when, we probably left this province too early. So what's been done in the past, although obviously there was a huge sacrifice, we've got to worry about the now. And the Taliban were on the verge of taking back Helmand province. And then we're back in the same situation we were before it all started. So, whatever your politics are, this is where we've got to stop it. And I've lost and seen many Marines wounded here, so trust me, I get it. But we've got to worry about the now, and we've got to worry about the future.
Where does that stop, though? I mean, if we're saying as soon as the US pulls back in these areas, Taliban come straight back in and retake towns and cities that US soldiers have died fighting for.
I think the Afghans here in Helmand, now that they know we're here and we're committed to helping them resecure their districts and their province, that they're willing to fight, and they are fighting. They're the ones fighting and dying. We're not.
Reid is up against the same problems that his predecessors faced, getting the Afghans to step up to the plate and fight without US ground troops behind them. This ragtag group may look like something out of Mad Max, but these fighters, a mix of local police and security forces, are the ones trying to root out the Taliban on the ground.
موږ دلته راغلي یو چې په خپل د وطن دفاع وکړو خپل خاورې دفاع وکړو دا ترهګر دا ظالمان د دې وطن د دې هغه څخه وژغورو دا ورکړو.
With American choppers flying overhead, advanced teams fan out looking for IEDs, the weapon causing the heaviest casualties right now. When they're found, they dig them out by hand. The brigade is now running at only 2/3 capacity, and soldiers at this base say they're stretched too thin and are struggling to keep pressure on the Taliban.
Who here has been fighting the Taliban for more than 5 years already? Is this the worst time, or is it getting better now?
The Taliban are using that strength wisely, hiding during the day, and launching attacks under the cover of darkness.
در این منطقه خانه مردم نیست و اینجا باغ و باغچه است.
اون پوسته که است بگوید چپ
و در قسمت جنوب که است اینجا خانه مردم است. مسکونی است. اینجا یا اوگار نشن. اینجا چند داخت نکو خیر است.
از خالیگاه مثالش از رفتار قطار ما همیشه برون میکنه میره ما نمایان هستیم. دشمن از اینمی استفاده میکنه سر ما انداختو میکنه مثل یک دوز است که پس دوباره فرار میکنه در کوچه میره. بده زوچو. بده دو خالتا بکش.
No one knows how long American troops will be in Afghanistan this time around. But if this operation is any indication, Afghan forces will need a lot of help and a lot of time if they're ever going to gain the upper hand.
The House of Representatives passed its tax reform bill today, and it immediately hit an embarrassing procedural snag. 3 provisions in the House-passed version violate the special rules that Senate Republicans are using to pass the bill with a simple majority. Removing them will push final approval to Wednesday. Still, American corporations are now all but set to get a massive tax cut. What's less certain is what that means for everyone else.
A lot of economists and even some rich guy CEOs, Mike Bloomberg, for example, say the corporate tax cut that passed in the House is not going to lead to more jobs or higher wages.
This is a great day for growth, and we're very excited about this moment. Thank you.
Personally, I've never created a job. I've never given anyone a raise. So I figured I'd ask an actual rich guy, former CEO, whether those economists are right or wrong.
You got a lot of economists out there that live in ivory towers. They're really not people that get involved in the day-to-day workings of a business. I started scooping ice cream at Baskin-Robbins and worked my way up to be the CEO of an international corporation. You get a little bit better sense, I think, for how things work when you come up that way than you do reading a book in the faculty lounge.
Andrew Puzder was President Trump's first pick for labor secretary before he withdrew his nomination. Before that, he was a fast food baron, CEO of the company that owns Hardee's and Carl's Jr. Puzder says the tax bill isn't perfect, but it's pretty darn good. And he says wages are going to rise very quickly.
With these projections on where economic growth is going in the fourth quarter, and there's a lot of data to support the optimism, I think we're going to see it very, very quickly. Certainly, we should be seeing increased wages by second quarter of next year. As people re-enter the labor force, then you're really going to see those wage numbers accelerate.
That's an unusually bold, concrete prediction. In April of 2018, your wages are going up. Is it believable? We asked a former resident of that ivory tower Puzder mentioned what she thinks.
It ain't never worked that way. And I'm not just talking fancy studies. Fancy studies say, when you try to correlate it, you do these tax breaks, no, it hasn't produced the kind of growth in jobs that the Republicans are claiming. This was the argument back in the 1980s. And what has happened since then is stock profits up, right? The giant corporations have gotten richer and richer and richer and richer. And what's happened to wages in that period of time? Flat as a pancake. These CEOs have already told us what they're going to do with the money. They're saying, hey, we get these giant tax breaks, we're going to use them for stock buybacks to build up our price.
Not surprisingly, Senator Warren is not a fan of the Republican tax bill. There's not a lot of stuff that Andy Puzder would like policy-wise that Elizabeth Warren would also like.
So, one of the arguments we hear a lot is like, well, why don't we just try something else? Try a different way of doing it.
This is the same answer the Republicans have given for 40 years. And they've said, things aren't working out well. I know what let's do. Let's cut taxes for the richest and most powerful in this country. It's just delivering one gut punch after another to hardworking people.
Matt Benjamin is an astronomer who's been coming to Idaho for years with his family. He also happens to have an observatory set up in an old grain silo next to his house.
Like to hopefully show us the Andromeda Galaxy before the clouds come in.
He's part of a team of conservationists and business owners who banded together to get nearly 1 million acres in central Idaho designated a dark sky reserve by the International Dark Sky Association, a nonprofit based in Tucson and the de facto authority on night sky pollution.
So this is what you're trying to protect?
Absolutely. It's all about the dark skies. Now, certainly for someone like myself who's an astronomer who likes to use telescopes, it's more about also being able to just see it with your naked eye. To me, that's the most accessible part of what makes the sky so beautiful. As we continue to see the fact that 80% of Americans can't see the Milky Way, well, there's very few places that can.
The reserve, which was made official yesterday, limits light pollution to keep the night sky in its natural dark state. But in order for the region to get the official sign-off, 4 counties all need to comply with local light ordinances, meaning people and businesses need to change the kind of lights they were using.
So how's business been since the ordinance?
Business has been terrific. People are very cognizant about the ordinance, and I think that they're looking for the proper product. Like this one here is a compliant fixture. What we have here is no bulb hanging below the surface that is going to emit in your face a filament, and it has a soft glow.
Are all these changes driving you crazy?
They are, because you can't keep up with it. And especially when our cities each have their own ordinances. We've had to take a look at everything from the output of the lights, whether or not it's being projected forward, and we have to educate our clients.
Part of the reserve is in Sun Valley, an affluent ski area where property values are 5 times higher than the rest of Idaho. But complying with the new rules wasn't actually that expensive because many of the towns had similar light ordinances already in place. The reserve just expanded them.
It's about covering your outdoor lights, your lights around your business, and keeping them at a low wattage.
So these icicle lights, do they comply or where do they fit in?
Well, they're LEDs, and they're on a timer. There's a balance, right? You got to promote your business, but then you also have to adhere to the night sky ordinance. You take it for granted when you live here. People that come from the city are bedazzled by all the stars they can see.
Brett Seymour studies the health effects of light pollution at Colorado State University as a behavioral ecologist, which, believe it or not, is an actual job. One of the ways he does this is by shooting a laser at different kind of lights to measure their wavelengths.
This is the light that's coming from that light source. So what this is showing is the specific color of light across the visible spectrum and the amount of light that's hitting this detector.
Okay. Yeah, as soon as you hit these lights, it just spikes up.
Spikes way up.
Seymour is especially concerned with blue light, the kind of light that comes out of televisions and your cell phone. It's the most disruptive kind of light in the spectrum and is also prevalent in newer types of light sources, which many cities are adopting for efficiency.
Blue light and shorter wavelengths of light are important to animal behavior and human health. This evolved so we know when it's night and when it's day. So you have a blue light, it's telling you that it's day, even though it's night. These are actually really detrimental to your biology because your brain still thinks it's daytime.
Although light pollution is increasing at a rate of 2% each year, the effects of light pollution are still largely unstudied. The few studies which have been conducted show links between light pollution, obesity, cardiovascular disease, and breast cancer.
Animals, including ourselves, have evolved over millions of years under these natural conditions. And now, globally, we have light pollution everywhere.
Is it too late for a place like Vegas? Is it too late for a place like Los Angeles?
No, it's not too late. Light pollution is the only pollution I can think of that it's simply flipping a switch, your pollution's gone.
The Central Idaho Dark Sky Reserve may be the first of its kind in the U.S., though people like Matt Benjamin hope it won't be the last. But to keep their own reserve up to par, they'll have to make sure things stay dark.
I'll show you the light meter. It's pretty simple. You just sort of point it up at the sky, 21.07. And so that's really dark. This is probably one of the darkest places in the lower 48 of the United States.
Wow, wow, wow. There's a whole blanket of stars.
This is world-class darkness.
Yes! I fucking love puppies. That's definitely like a country artist.
It's Gwen Stefani.
What? She's got a twang in it. Even if at first you don't like want it to work on you, it still like works on you. It's got a good vibe, and I like that whole loving my best friend kind of thing. It's sweet. This song has a lot going on. It doesn't seem to me to reflect the vibe of Christmas, and it also just kind of seems like they just like put a song and put some guitars on it and put some sleigh bells on it and said the word Christmas. I like magic in my Christmas songs and like fire and the cold outside. Then it has to be pure, pure joy. Otherwise, it just becomes the sound of capitalism.
Do you remember Hanson?
Mm-hmm.
That's who that song was by.
No, they're so sweet. Fuck. You guys are great. I'm sorry that I trashed your Christmas song.
Come on! Rudolph the Rednose Reindeer had a very shiny nose. And if you ever saw it, you would even say it. Come on, all of these.
Now that has the Christmas spirit in it. That's got a lot of joy in it. I just want him to sing everything now. He's fucking hilarious. This is Sia, whom I love. She brings so much authenticity to what she sings. But on this Christmas song, I don't feel the Christmas spirit. Then again, I'm Jewish. But then again, most Christmas songs were written by Jews. So I've made a full circle back. I am a true authority on Christmas songs. But as far as just like feeling that Christmas spirit, now I'll probably just put on Nat King Cole.
That's Vice News Tonight for Tuesday, December 19th.